You ready to film another exciting episode of Real Good at Doing Stuff?
I can't wait.
Gotta be more exciting for Tuesday.
I can't wait.
Okay, good. There we go. All right, Real Good Stuff doers. I thought we'd do something a little bit different today. Before we get started, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Merch is at HeraldEngine.com. I'm going to try to remember to put links in the description this time so you can get cool looking shirts and stuff and look rad like I do. Anyhow, today I thought we'd look at some comments and stuff that you guys had questions and stuff that you'd asked in the comments, and it's hard to keep up with that, especially that last video. There's a lot of comments, so I'm going to take a look at that stuff. I'm not really going to talk about music yet. I don't feel the time is right for that yet. Maybe one day, maybe when we reach some kind of YouTube milestone or something. But in the meantime, all my music comes from Walmart. I fill out a questionnaire at a kiosk back by the Home and Garden Center. I send it off, and then they send it to me in the mail. And then you guys get to listen to it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Anywho, let's look at some of these comments here. And whatever. Okay, so... Hey Pete, what do you use that extreme pressure number 3 on? Everything, pretty much. There's not much that I don't use it on around the shop. I like it so much that I wrote a song about it. I mean, bought a song at Walmart about it. Anyhow, yeah, I guess you see it laying on the bench or something. But yeah, we use that stuff on cylinder head or almost all the threads in the motor. Not all the threads, but quite often I use it on everything. And I like it because it doesn't end up in the oil filter, you know. It's just excellent stuff. That stuff, this town, Mooresville, North Carolina, pretty much runs on number 3. Because all these cup engine shops use it exclusively, you know, at least that I know of. All right, HP Race Development. Why would aluminum rods solve the bent rod issue? I've worked this last year on design and development of an aluminum rod to replace a titanium rod we designed and use, and it's nearly impossible to get the aluminum rod to meet our demands, where with steel it's easy to meet our load demands and high cycle fatigue requirements. Okay, so the last part of your statement there might be the answer to your question. Aluminum rods are used all over in high-powered drag racing, right? They're very, very strong. Aluminum is generally stronger than steel by weight, right? So if you're going to have 600 grams of rod in it, it's stronger if it's 600 grams of aluminum than steel, as a general rule of thumb. Now, what your requirements are high cycle fatigue requirements. That's where aluminum does not cut the mustard, right? For something that needs to go through millions and millions of cycles, like an endurance application, aluminum is not the best way to do that, right? So that's why you don't see, generally speaking, aluminum rods in, say, a NASCAR motor or anything like that. They're not going to be used in that application. But generally speaking, anything real high power, turbo stuff, top fuel, whatever, it's all aluminum. Pretty much exclusively. Probably always will be. How many videos has this guy done now? He can't figure out how to match the frequency of the lights to the camera shutter speed. YouTube 101 stuff. The biggest gift Cleetus could give these clowns is a how-to on recording content. This channel has tape graphics. Graphics made of masking tape. Pete, is there any reason you would use an LSX block over the LS Next from Dart? So in this case, I think Cleet just sent us that block. It was the old block that was in LeRoy. And the LSX blocks are great. We use both. We use some of the Dart stuff. We use the LSX stuff. We use a lot of different ones. But in the case of the cast iron stuff, they're both great blocks. And, I don't really have much of a preference of one over the other. I kind of like how the LSX does the main bolts. But, they're both great. Callie's is poop. No, it is not. Callie's makes great stuff, and this failure has nothing to do with the rod manufacturer at all. It just does not. Callie's makes good stuff. We use tons of Callie stuff. We use stuff from everybody, but we use generally speaking, I use tons of their cranks and rods, and they're good stuff. Man, how are the pistons and valves that clean? Okay, I'll tell you. That's because this engine runs on methanol or alcohol, right? And methanol doesn't have carbon as a byproduct, right? So it burns very, very clean. There's little deposition in the chamber or anywhere in the motor from the methanol, right? If this was on gasoline or E85, be a different story. But it's very common for a methanol engine, especially a drag engine, to take it apart and see really clean situation. Now, if you circle track these things, they're still going to have some build up because their garage is going to burn a little oil or whatever. There's some stuff that builds up and it won't look quite like a drag engine. But in general, drag stuff on methanol, it's very common for you to take it apart and it looks like this. Patriot 2164, you got the young David Gilmour look going on, Pete. LOL, early Floyd going on. Animals. This might be the finest compliment that anyone has ever paid me. Donald Finer. Good format, sir. Like it, but not perfect for me. I like the teaching parts. Your poop. Please help me understand a little bit more about delta and how it matters as for heat in the cylinder. Okay, so delta, perhaps I didn't explain that concept well enough last time, but delta is just a kind of a mathematical way of looking at certain things, right? In this case, it really doesn't have anything to do with the heat in the chamber. What caused heat and pressures to get out of control in the chamber were the lean condition, right? Delta is just a way we can look and see that in the data quickly, right? It's just a method for sifting through your numbers, really. That's the way I look at it. And you can use delta when you're looking at boost or shock position, a lot of ways. It's just a handy kind of tool. But the delta itself is not what caused this, because delta can mean anything, right? Basically, delta to me, it means difference, right? In this case, it was a difference between a difference where our fuel pressure was not keeping up with where it should be. Alex Solly. It ran lean. Was it really that difficult to explain? No, it was very easy. It was easy because I'm real good at doing stuff, and explaining things to people like you is one of the things that I'm real good at doing. Doogie Causey. I know absolutely nothing about boost and turbocars. What is dome pressure? Okay, Doug, I assume. Dome pressure is how we kind of regulate and control the wastegates on a turbo motor, right? In a drag racing application. In, say, other endurance deals, they may not do it the same way we do, right? But for drag racers, we generally use CO2. And what we can do is we can run a really small spring to hold that valve shut. And then as we go down the track, we apply CO2 to the dome, we call it. And that pressure in there holds the valve shut more and more and more, and that's how we regulate the amount of boost we're going to generate. Unless you like pounding your head against the wall with an electronic gate, this is how we do it. And without some visual aids here, that's the best way I can describe it. But it's the pressure that we use to hold the wastegate shut as we go down the racetrack. We add more and more dome to make more and more boost. Interlocking fire rings will solve that issue indefinitely. No, they won't. Fake news. You will torch the head, send the rods out the bottom, just the same, right? Matter of fact, it may be worse because you may just be more likely to send stuff out the bottom, right? Which gets more expensive, right? In this case, I don't think it would matter at all because you're still going to torch stuff. Pete, can we get the formula on that math channel? Mark Cicino. Hey, Mark. Yes, we can. Tell you what, let's pop this up. All right, here's our data. Dandy data. Let me move some of this stuff out of the way. So, our math channel in this case is Holly has math channels now. They're up here in the top. You just click that, and you can name it and enter in whatever you want to. In this case, it's fuel pressure minus boost. Fuel pressure minus boost. Or at least that's how I did it, right? There may be more than one way to do this. You may can do it other ways. I don't know. But in this case, that's how I did it. It's fairly simple and very effective. But like I say, delta doesn't have to do necessarily with fuel pressure. It can be anything delta, shock travel delta, whatever, Shred Fest thinking the G-force on the fuel system once old LeRoy hooks and books is causing it to lose all pressure at the fuel rails. Okay, well in some cases you may be right. The fuel system is a complicated system, right? And there's all kinds of points of failure, right? And G-forces place demands on the fuel system without a doubt. But in this case, I talked to Cleet, and it's got a 12-gallon pump on LeRoy. That's not enough, right? And that'll pretty much do exactly, like it'll run out. In my head, it's going to run out like exactly where it did in this case. So we're going to upgrade that to something bigger, and most likely that will fix the problem. Who knows? Maybe there's other problems we'll need to address as well, but I can guarantee you that pump is not big enough to do what we need it to do, so we're going to go bigger. Your intro has a real King's X feel to it. Kami Hunter. Excellent name. I also dabble in Kami hunting. Your intro has a real King X. Okay, well that's an interesting observation. I'm a big fan of King's X. One of the most, I wouldn't say they're underrated because they're a very high rated band, but they never really achieved a lot of commercial success, sadly. Pete, is it the high cylinder pressure that bends the rods or rattling dead lean? Joe Blow. Excellent question. Yes and yes. Both, right? Okay, now what I mean by that is the high cylinder pressure is, in effect, what's going on here, right? But that's the result of inadequate fuel delivery, right? So because it's rattling dead lean, the symptom of that is stratospheric cylinder pressures and heat, right? So one leads to the other. So hope that clears that up. Might want to upgrade from magnetic ballast in your light fixtures. Fix those lines you see in your video. Okay, a bunch of you guys keep commenting about this. And some of you guys say I need to get fluorescent bulbs. Some of you guys say I need to get LED bulbs. Well, I had fluorescent bulbs, and a couple years ago I switched them over to straight wired LED bulbs, right? So if it's LEDs don't just stay on, they kind of cycle. I don't know exactly how they work, but anyhow, I guess that can cause a problem. I changed the frame rate on the GoPro I was using. We'll see if that helped or not on the next video. I guess you're going to have to subscribe to find out if my video skills improve or not. The suspense is just unbelievable. There's only one way to find out. Fabrication Nation, Pete, will the low fuel pressure cause it to bend those rods? I'm having trouble understanding what could do that. What PSI would they start bending? And is there a better rod to get at this point? Okay, so a lot of questions here. What PSI would they start bending? I guess you're talking about boost. What boost pressure will the rods, in this case, start bending? Well, if everything is fine, I think they'll go considerably past this point, right? That's why I kind of hate changing out the rods, because I feel like they're getting blamed for something that's not really their fault, you know. But knowing where we're going to end up with this thing, I'm probably going to go ahead and change to aluminum and whatnot. But the low fuel pressure definitely caused this issue, right? Because our fuel delivery just went out the window when that happened, right? So they're all connected. But like I say, I hate to blame this on the rod itself. And like I say, in almost any situation, you'd be amazed at what you can get away with on stuff if the tune is correct, right? And by that, I mean the tune that's in the laptop and also the applied tune, which is what the engine sees. In this case, I think the tune in the laptop is fine, but the applied tune is the tune in the laptop minus some fuel pressure that we're supposed to have but didn't, right? So then the piston sees that as a big problem, right? So Jesse, super melodic solo, ever play any modal stuff? Also curious if you hear the notes in your head or sing them, or if you're more playing a scale or pattern. Okay, so I've heard the modal term for years and years, but I really don't have any idea what it means because I don't know anything about any of that, unfortunately. Not only is Pete a performance mastermind, but his porn music writing skills are second to none as well. Okay. WTF is this? Love it, but thought YouTube was on shrooms or something. Well, actually, this is the world's first psychedelic engine building channel. I think it's a new genre, and I think we're pioneering things here, and I think it's going to go far. Todd Aaron, Pete, is it common to just see the fuel pump tank like that all at once? I will sure start checking. Yes, it absolutely is. Matter of fact, I can't really think of a situation where it doesn't do it all at once like that. Like on the dyno, I see it all the time because people bring a car and the pump is borderline. Well, when it gets to that border, it goes south. Pretty much every time. It's just the pump is only good for what it's good for. And when you open the injector above that, the pressure just goes away instantly. It's just like a switch. So yes, it's very common to see that. Is this real? All of it. Yes, it is real. Discrete signals. Can you create a safety or alarm in software to limit the power, blah, 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 if delta gets too extreme? Yes, you can. You sure can. The only thing about safeties is, from my perspective as a tunerator, right, they can be a double-edged sword because depending on the clientele, right? When you add a safety like that, what you're saying is, all right, if I see these criteria met in sensors, we're going to stop things, right? So what that means to the race car is when you stage that car, you have increased the number of ways that you can fail, right? You may save your motor, but let's say your sensor fails. Well, now you can lose a round because the sensor failed. Happens all the time, right? So I'm not telling you to not put safeties on your motor. I'm just telling you that I have to look at it from different ways because, like, sometimes some of these guys just want to send it, right? They don't want to hear about no bull mess or the whatever, you know. So it's kind of complicated, you know, not to mention it takes a lot of time to set all those things up in every single car. And some of these cars you don't even see every 6 months or whatever. So, yeah, sure. Mr. Maximum. My word, you've got some terrible music on your videos. Jeez. Yeah. You know, it's funny. He's got a don't panic little avatar here. So maybe this is like Douglas Adams' humor here in disguise. I don't know. Ryan, there's no way that song during the teardown is stock music with those time signatures. What are you hiding here, sir? Okay, so actually it is. That's 4/4, I believe. It's in 4/4 time signature. Maybe I'm wrong, but I believe it is. Can't see the grass, too dark. Okay, that's my mistake. I realized it kind of after I'd recorded everything. I didn't want to do it again because I didn't have time because I had other things to do. But yeah, next time I'll try to highlight those or switch the colors so that they're a little more observable in a stupid YouTube video. Deegan, the heat and cylinder pressure it takes to do that is insane. You literally couldn't take a torch and that as fast as it naturally happens in those conditions. Crazy. Excellent observation. That's very true. So I always tell, or I don't tell this to everybody that I meet on the street, but people that ask me about tuning and stuff, one of the things I say sometimes is that one of the things that informed my skills as a tuner the most was learning about welding, right? Welding over the years, especially repairing aluminum cylinder heads, right? Because you learn that because of the nature of the metal and the mass of the metal, it takes tons of amperage input into the cylinder head to weld it correctly, right? So you learn a lot about that by doing that. And it's one of those things like I don't think you can really tell people about it. You just have to hand them a torch and say, here, learn about this. And they'll gradually learn about it. But yes, think of it this way. I've got a Dynasty 350 what is that? It's a Dynasty 350 inverter welder. Had it for years now. I'm sure it's old junk by today's standards, but it's a great welder. It's got tons of power, right? Doesn't have a tiny percentage of enough power to do that kind of damage in the period of time that we're talking about, right? So that's just it's just mind-boggling the effect that we're literally turning the torch or the engine into a torch that consists of methanol and oxygen, and it just vaporizes solid aluminum in a fraction of a second. It's incredible. So there's a lot to be learned there, I'm sure. But interesting observation. Jeremy, your intro is trash and annoying. I was ready to leave watching, but wanted to give you a chance, so I fast forwarded. No disrespect, just being honest. Music throughout is fire. Love it. Okay, so the music is both trash and annoying and also fire. Fair enough. Derek McLeod, just realized YouTube had unsubscribed me from your channel. Huh. Okay. I blame the government for that one. Daily Sun. Unwatchable crap. Yep, maybe so. All right, well, so that's enough of the comments for today. I got other things to do besides be insulted. So, but anyhow, I'll try to do more of these in the future. Merch at HarrellEngine.com if you want to look super snazzy like me. But anyhow, there'll be some more polishing turds. I've got several more of them filmed already. I just got to edit them and all that jazz. So I haven't forgot about them. They're coming. And also the repair process for this motor and a few others will be coming out soon too. That's enough for today. Go away.